society, we need to be find out certain kind of a solution to the problem. Certain question arises, we try to find the answer to the questions of them. That is a very simplistic manner understanding the research it is. So forget about that lot of definitions, so many of them are so many of the researchers coined so many of definitions and also facts, all sorts of explanations and all. It is fine that we can be learned, we can be read, we can be understand. But very simplistic answer is we need to be find the problem for this, solutions for the problem. Okay, there are some certain kind of problems in this society. Okay, so to find the problem and also to solution to the problem, to find the solution to the problem, there are certain kind of a sequential processes required. We cannot just simply find the solution to the problem. There are certain kind of steps are required to find the solution to the problem. And these kind of a sequential process are clearly delineated steps. There are many steps are there. Finding the problem and then the review of literature or then hypothesis and so on and so forth, that will be going on those things. In that sense, the research is required certain kind of a sequential manner to find the solution. Then there are a series of action steps is necessary to carry out the research, and there are many other aspects also important out of it. In research, there are two types of research we can be identified. One is qualitative research, another one is quantitative research. Might be many of them are knowing about little bit about this qualitative as well as quantitative. Qualitative, we are qualitative data will be collected from the field and will conduct research based on that and come out with a kind of a conclusion that will be qualitative in nature. And quantitative is the data and numbers we use it to quantify the data, and that will be analyze the data and we come out with some kind of a conclusion based on the quantitative data. See, qualitative research, it's a kind of a method. Data in a conversational method, it is open-ended questions. Do you know that what is it? Open-ended, closed-ended questions? Yes. What is it? What is closed-ended and open-ended? Because I don't want to go into very deep into everything. Because if you go into the deep into each method and everything, then it will be confusion for you guys. So very simplistic information is very much required in this stage to understand. What is open-ended and closed-ended?
Closed-ended is a sort of questions.
Huh?
A sort of questions.
Okay.
Open-ended, we will give some options to them. Maybe or may not be.
And then any other better thing? See, close-ended means that kind of a thing, yes or no answer. Yes. Can be asked that. So when we ask, that will be they will ask. They will ask the question. We will get the answer. End. Okay. That's a close-end. In open-end,
They can share their research.
Open-end means it will open the Pandora box. So when we ask the question, the person is going to answer, no, will be elaborate. The question, with such kind of a question we will ask it. Not like a yes or no. What is your name? That will be end. What is your name? That will be end. Not like that. So how much? What is the problem you are having in your family? Do anybody elderly people are there? Then that will be conversation started. So like that. So open-ended questions are open to you for many understandings. Okay. So then, so how the participants think and why they think in particular way, that will be understood through the qualitative research. There are many qualitative types of qualitative research out there. We will be discussing one later. Okay, it will be interview method, focus group discussion, ethnographic studies, text analysis, case studies. So many types of research we can be conducted within the qualitative research. One-to-one interview, everybody must be known that. You go there and collect the information by asking the question. And focus group discussion is, it will be a 12 to 15 people combined together with a homogeneous group or heterogeneous group or combination of both of them, and we will throw some kind of a focus issue. Then the discussion will happen along within with them, and also we will get some kind of inputs and analysis part will be taken care in the later stage. And ethnographic studies is most of them ethnographic studies specifically in anthropology we used to conduct detailed information of the particular community or any kind of a group in all the aspects of it, from the day-to-day life of the particular community or culture to the what sort of economic activity as to the their livelihood. And the text analysis, certain kind of based on the text available, analysis will be happen to understand some might be having a pictures or some kind of write-ups. All those thing analysis can be done into the qualitative research. Case studies, might be many of them are knowing about the case studies and all. Very specific case studies we will be identify and also understand in the deep of that particular cases. And based on the case studies, the extended case studies can also be conducted. So, for example, suppose if there is a farmer suicide, so that is a case. What exactly the problem of farmer suicide? What is happening? How is happened? So, are there any kind of other than the financial expenses, any other reason for farmer suicide? All those things will be will get through the conversation with the respondent and the answer will be taken. Extended case studies can also be, you can call it as further case studies. Extended case studies means, for example, farmer died and also having a problem. Then after his death, what is the life of the dependents of that farmer? That is an extended case studies we use to cover it. Okay. This quantitative research. So the morning also sir was discussing about the quantitative research was deal with the numbers. It's a measurable form. Okay, it is a kind of a systematic way of investigating the event. Okay, so we go there and collect the information in a quantifiable manner. That data, that the numbers we collect, and also that based on that numbers we were going to come out with some kind of a conclusion. And is answer question to justify relationship with measurable variance to either explain, predict, control. Okay, so it will be the answer to the questions. So that will be justify the relationship with the measurable variable. Like it will be either it can be come out with the answer to the problem what we are having based on the inputs we will get it from the data. There are types of quantitative research also. Survey method, descriptive method, and correlation method. It will be in detail in the next the preceding slide. Okay. So it is already sir also said in the morning. It's very simplistic steps. We are having already identified the problem, finding an issue of formulating that, and next is evaluate the literature. Literature review is a very first and foremost. In the research is very important aspect of the literature. It is the first and foremost and very important aspect. See, many of our students will always having a problem with review of literature. First thing is how to review the literature. That's the first thing, and whether the literature is available or not. But most of them are having a confusion. So many times they come with some kind of a question that, sir, we don't have a literature on this issue. I'm the first person is doing the research. So thinking that this is no way this kind of a research done it, sir, because I took my village is the village is one of the area. There nobody done the research. That is what this is the first and foremost. Like that, see, literature is not at all confined to your village or just your topic. The mornings are said like that. Suppose if you take the any kind of alcohol and also some schizophrenia studies, so many aspects will come. We have to look into that what is happening whole world on that particular issues. Okay, so maybe that is what we always go with some kind of a sampling that will be come in the next stages of it. Sampling will be a small set of data we collected that will be make it into generalization. For that reason only we always need to be understand through the literature. And next step is hypothesis. What is hypothesis? Hypothesis is nothing but assumptions. We assume that certain kind of what sort of a problem, whether it is there in a real life or not. For example, literacy level of scheduled caste girls are lower than the other communities. Okay, this is a generalized understanding of anybody else. Even in the newspaper also we are come across such sort of thing, and so many literatures also we come across. This is generalized. So we need to be test. That is whether that is a statement is true or not. So that this hypothesis will come into picture then. Okay. So then the research design. So we are going to discuss this research design and describe the population, how to prepare for the sampling for your research. And data collection process will be starting the next day after the design of the research, then data analysis and report writing. Okay. Coming into the research design, what exactly it is? How do you what do you think about this design then? So there must be some kind of a plan is required for any kind of actions. Okay. So in the same manner, for research also we need to make some kind of a plan. That plan we call it as a design. We need to be design it. How our research should go further. Okay. So to answer the objective of our research, we need to make it some kind of a research design. Okay. It is a blueprint that outlines methods and procedure for conducting scientific investigation. What I said, like it's a kind of a blueprint. We need to make a plan of it. So we have a problem and statement of the problem also be drawn out of it, and then research question based on that this reapplication we brought out of it. Then objectives, what exactly specific objectives. Later we need to make a methodology or design of research. What sort of methods, how this will be done it in an exact manner or in a realistic manner. So our research design should be having some kind of a validity, reliability, and generalizability. Okay. So when you are conducting the research, suppose if sometime later or another person also in the same time will be conducted, that should be very reliable, and also it should be a centralized form should be there, and the choice of the research design depend on the research question available. So control of over variables we need to be drawn out of. So it is having its own advantages and limitations as well. Okay, in the research designs plans, these are all the questions, these are all the plans we need to be having. So what is to be observed, how it is to be observed, when and where it is to be observed, why it is to be observed, how to record observations, okay, how to analyze, interpret observations, how to generalize. Okay, these are all the designs we need to be making. There are certain kind of advantages of designing the research also. Before we move on to the field, okay, before we go into the collection of data or preparing answer to the question of how we brought out of it. So there's a kind of a set of design, set of a plan we need to make it. That is having some kind of a boundaries, which are one activities to another activities in the journal of research. I just click see on this. So coming to the types of research design, okay, there are already told you that there is a descriptive research design. Descriptive research design is pertaining, it has to be described in a broader manner. That is a descriptive research. We need to be understand the situation and the event and phenomena happened. It will be bring it in the form of observation or in very accurate and precise manner with the very descriptive in nature. Okay, so it may be pertaining to a single period or some it is a time also, time as well as the situation. Both of them are combined together. We call it as a one cell design because sometimes there is a situation and also happened in a particular time. Okay, there is a situation happened in a particular time, and the same way the situation and another situation in a different time also can be happen. So, but the descriptive research is an elaborative research in a descriptive manner. We need to understand in a process of research. Yeah. See, for example, studying a drug abuse among truck drivers in 2009 in Mumbai. Okay, so studies pertaining to one situation or issue can be made into two time period as well. Okay, the same truck drivers, the abuse of the truck driver can also be understood in a different situation. That will be again in the sometime later also can be done or in a single time. So in a single time and a single situation as well as the single time. Or the same problem in a different time period also can be understand. That we call it as a ex post facto design. That's what morning sir said. Ex post facto in the sense once this will be studied and understand what happened, and sometime later again the same study can be conducted to understand what is the changes happened or any kind of a same situation or a different kind of a changes happened in the preceding years. Another one is explanatory research design. It's a kind of a why factor we will be understand. Why these kind of things are happening. So, for example, voting behavior of the people in the parliamentary election, anywhere it can be taken. It will be held in one period to another period. For explanatory studies which explain how people voted because of certain aspects of why people voted, but considering certain aspects like caste, language, political ideology, also that is an explanatory in nature. So that is an explanatory research design. Exploratory design, it is we have a little bit knowledge about that particular research or problem. So there is some kind of exploration of certain new things will be come into picture. For example, if you take any kind of issues like one of my students also studying twinning studies, twins, how these twins will be happening. So there is some particular place called Kodini in Kerala. There are highest number of instances of twinning. So and also even in some tribes of Canada and also other countries also from very particular places, highest instance of twinnings are happening. So, but in India, nowhere such kind of a situation identified. Only in the particular place where more number of Muslim populations are there, their twinnings are there. More than 4,000 twinnings are there. So what exactly is happening? It is not at all happening in our surrounding villages. So this kind of research will be kind of explores explore certain new things in that particular research. See, even suppose if other villages girls also married to that particular village, again that will become the twins. Okay, but it is not happening. This girl go to another village. There are some kind of a new things are there, and also that will be added into the research arena. May not be knowing many aspects. So there, this we can call it as exploratory research. We explore many things. We need to be contributed. Further research can be done by the other researchers. There are many types of research design that is advocated by many of them. So experimental, cross-sectional, case study, longitudinal, comparative design, like that. So take the example of experimental research design. It is also not only for the, it's not common for the social sciences, but other social psychology, other science disciplines, they will be conducting experimental design. But experiment, when we talk about the experimental design, again it is a distinction between laboratory as well as the field experiments. Laboratory experiments, we social scientists may not be always conduct the laboratory experiments. So our laboratory field is our laboratory. Okay, when we go to the field, there only we do conduct all sorts of experiments. But in science or other disciplines of other than the social science, they will be conducting the laboratory. So suppose if you take the example of botanist or zoologist, they will conduct in the laboratory. They will bring the any kind of a plant or kind of animal. They will conduct within that, because when we are dealing with the human beings, and society is our laboratory, so our experiment will be conducted in the field. So that's what. Again, this experimental design can be further classified as again classified experimental design. In this type research design, two groups are formed. One control group, another one is experimental group. So there are two groups can be formed. One is control group, another one is experimental group. In most of the scientific studies, or also in social science, also combined with a certain kind of a science aspect, we will make it into two groups. One is experimental group, another one is a control group. Control group will not be touched upon that. Okay, that is exactly what it is there. In experimental group, we will give some kind of inputs to that. For example, suppose if you take the nutritional value of it. So in the same group, in the same population, we will be taken into two groups. One is control group, another one is experimental group. Control group, as it is, the same children, suppose if you think of it. And another experimental group will be give some kind of a nutritional inputs, some kind of a nutritional foods and all. Then we will make some kind of a comparison that how this nutrition value of the food will be make changes in their weight or height, some kind of thing. And the same manner, and also some trainings also. So one group will be as it is, and another group will be give some kind of a training, so that then we can make some kind of a comparison with the T test or other tests and all, so that we can understand what sort of impact after the intervention of the training. So in that manner, so we make some kind of experiments as well. So in the laboratory experiment, they are included. This quasi experiment also is in a natural environment. We will also be conducted. It's not a continuous process in a short period of time, and certain aspects will be made in the natural settings and all. This cross-sectional design and longitudinal design. Again, cross-sectional design, it's a collection of data in more than one case at a single point of time. We take the example of collecting the height and weight of the students, okay, in a class. So first standard to 8th standard or 10th standard, we take the example. So we will be understanding the process in a single time only we are going to collect the information of the different classes or different age groups. Okay, in a different age group, first standard student will be take the height and weight of the student, and second standard, third standard, like that. Then we will make a comparison how this changes happening. The height and weight is changing from one year to another year in a particular time only, the same time. This is, we can call it as a cross-sectional design. And longitudinal design is obviously it is a longitudinal. The term talking about the longitudinal. See, when we observe the student or when we observe any child for his growth or in the educational in an education situation, we need to be understand in the same child in a next year as well. So, okay, or in a longitudinal way, for 1 year what will happen and next year what is happening. In that manner, we can be understood. It takes a longer time to understand the exact reason for the problem. There will be longitudinal design will be utilized. So, okay, then case study design. Case studies we already told you, based on case studies design also we understand certain complexities of the problem. Then comparative design, compare with one situation, one model to another situation. So with the one or more significantly distinct cases situation also we can compare. So based on the comparative vision, we can come out with certain kind of draw certain kind of results based on the observation from the. Then we come into the exact what we are looking for this class is sampling. Okay, sampling involves selecting a subset from a larger population for a research purposes. We all know that. See, the entire universe is our unit for the understanding the problem, understanding the problem and finding the solution. So, but we cannot be do in a whole sample. We cannot be take it to the whole world. Okay. See, that is what we always make it into some kind of a sample. Sample is as we all know that. So earlier our mother used to do it in our family while preparing the food. So they will be just take one hugget ತಗೊಂಡು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, so that we understand that whether ಅನ್ನ ಬೆಂದಿದೆಯೋ ಇಲ್ವೋ ಅಂತ. So in the same manner, so sample also like you need not be take all the samples. On ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ sample ತಗೊಂಡು wherever necessary we can be understand certain how this really this will be impact on certain kind of impact on the research or not. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ so that sampling is it's a subset of the larger population. Finally, ultimately, what we are going to do it. So now adana small sample ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ ಅದನ್ನ when is to be will be applicable to whole universe or not. So that is a thing we used to do it while doing the sampling. Okay. So these are the basic concept terms and sampling. Population is the universe of the unit from which the sample is selected, and sample, as I said, that it's a kind of a segment of the population is selected for the investigation. Okay, it may be a probability method or non-probability approach we use it. That will be discussed later. The sampling frame is the listing of all units in the population from which the sample will be selected. There are many units in the sample, in the populations. We list out. So where, how much sample we need to draw from the each unit and all. Okay, that's the sampling. Then the representative sample is nothing but the sample itself. It will be a very small sample drawn from the population to all the samples. That will be represent the whole population. And there are certain sampling bias also will happen when you are making sampling. Some members of populations are having a little chance of selecting. The selection process in the sampling should have a equal opportunity for each and everyone. Okay, so that's what in the next stage we will discuss about the random sampling now. In the same manner, some set of people or some members of the population may not be having a chance of selecting in the sampling. So that is we call it as a sampling bias. And sampling error also. It is due to the difference between the sample and the population. So sample is different and also sampling we are taking into different because the problem where that will be that will be there only we need to take the sample. Sometimes we may not be exactly will be taken in where the problem is, where the sampling error happens. For example, if you take the example of beggars. So we need to be able to collect this sample from the beggars one. Suppose if we take it from the other sample, may not be that is the exact sampling we are taking into that. And non-probabilities occurs that will also be having poor question of wording, poor interviewing. Many aspects will also be making into non-probability comes back. The principles of the sampling. Sample unit must be chosen in a systematic and objective manner. So when we choose the sample unit, we should be having a systematic manner. There are some kind of different methods or that sampling methods also. In a systematic manner, we need to choose the sample, and it is an objective one. Objective means it will be applicable in any time. It will be applicable to everyone, all of them. So that is an objective manner also we need to be choose the sample, and sample unit must be clearly defined and easily identified. That is easily identifiable means that suppose if somebody do it, that will be easily identify that particular sample in that sense. Sample unit must be independent of each other. See, there are a number of units in the population, that's what I say. So suppose if you take the sample from each unit, it should be independent to each other. Cannot be a same unit can be drawn the samples. It should be equivalent with the other units as well. Then the same sample unit should be used throughout the study. Obviously, it is based on this some criteria should be avoid errors, bias, distortion. These are the advantages of a sampling method. There are some kind of limitations also. Sampling method. Then it's a type of sampling. Yeah, we already discussed this thing. There are two types of sampling we have in social science research. One is probability sampling and another one is non-probability sampling. Probability means we know that in social sciences we are always talking about the probability. Because exact thing we cannot be said. There is some kind of always having some probability because when we are dealing with the human beings, okay, when we are dealing with the society, we cannot exactly say that the same situation will happen in next minute. So there are a lot of changes are happening with the human beings as well as the society. So in that sense, that's what we always we talking about the probability of it. That's what the exact number in the number way what we call it as exactly it cannot be said. That's what we always call it as a probability. There might be this might be the reason, might be this kind of thing in the sense. There are some kind of probability sampling. It's a primary method for selecting large representative sample for social sciences and business researcher. Probability sampling is okay. In probability sampling, we collect a large number of data and combine with the non-probability data. Large sample will be collected through the probability samples. A complete list of subjects to be studied should be available. For doing this probability sampling, we need a complete list of subject. So we can't get the complete. Suppose if you are collecting the information in your any kind of a village or any area, so you have to have a complete list of the people or population. And the size of universe must be known. You should be know that what size of the what is the size of it, what is the population of that particular area, what is the population of that particular state or any where it selected the area. And desired sample should be specified. How much sample size, how much you are going to collect the sample. That is also you should be specified. And most important thing is each element should have an equal chance of being selected. When we are doing sample, all the elements of it. So all of them. Suppose if you are having here 50 people, there must be a equal chance for everyone to be selected, being selected. That is very important when doing the probability sampling. See, characteristics of probability sampling. It is certain things we already discussed. Sample predictions we need to make it, and sample size, reliability. I said that level of reliability, what is that? If the deviation between two is more, then possibility of tentative conclusion being wrong will be increased. If the sample size is more, then the deviation is less. See, when you are taking the sample size, okay, when we take a small sample, then deviation is very large. So more sample, deviation is very less. So when we take the deviation means here deviation in the sense, suppose very small sample if you take it, maybe may not be combined other certain aspects of it. Okay, then there is a chances of some kind of leaving certain aspects. So that means that the more large sample, and the less deviation of it. So then accuracy obviously should be very accurate enough, so that will be we can use it for the mean mode and median to reduce the error. And advantage of probability sampling, it's a scientific method and more objective, and it saves time and money as well. Because when you are collecting the information in terms of number, it saves time as well as the money to us as well. And the accuracy of the data also increases because of the probability sampling. And it is easy to supervise if you introduce the sample. It is easy to supervise it. There are certain limitations also in the probability sampling. That's what I already said, that is researchers should know the whole universe of the population. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to decide that how much sample is required. And selection of the sample also certain specific method we need to be using while selecting the samples. And it requires more money and energy. When it is require more energy and time, when there is made a larger sample, it requires more time and energy. These are major forms of probability sampling: simple random sampling, systematic random sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling, multi-stage sampling, simple random sampling. These are the different forms of probability sampling. Okay. Simple random sampling. So, a simple random sampling is selection of any person should be having equal opportunity of selecting every person in the universe. Should be getting it. Then we can make it into a generalization. For that, we may use certain kind of methods. One is lottery method. So, for example, suppose if you take the lottery method, how do you make a sampling in simple random sampling method? It's a population. Okay. Take the example. This is the universe of study population. there is a simple random population. It is happening. Simple random, we can be is randomly we select, okay, through the lottery method. By lottery in the sense, this person also having the equal chance of selection, this person also having equal, everybody having the equal chance of equal opportunity of selection. So lottery cannot be make it any kind of a bias there. There is equal opportunity for everyone to get into selected. So that is what we call it as a simple random sampling. Okay. So here many other methods will also will be used. So I'll tell you how to make a lottery system will be used to select the sample. So when we know all the people are the data of all the information or data of all the people, we'll be putting into some kind of a one box kind of a thing, and then we'll be toss it lottery. So then there will be a chance of selecting anyone with a common property of selecting everyone out of it. So then another one is tippet method also. Here also there are how these people, students, teachers are employed in one post to another post. So there also they can take some kind of a sample out of it. Another one is grid method. And now see why I am not at all explaining all those things is, see lottery method now this system itself will be used. Suppose if you are having some census data, so census data of any village or any city, okay, you will be putting it to your system in the Excel sheet. So there is a command for rand. So if you put the rand, that will be automatically randomly will make it into some kind of changes. So there, how many samples if you require, you directly we can be select. Suppose if you want 200 people out of 1000 or 10,000, you first 200 you can be selected. So that will be shown by our another resource person. So that in that sense, this random sampling can be done here. So simple random sampling will be useful when the population is known and also it's a large sample is required, then it will be the advantage of it. And some kind of a disadvantages also having, so the errors may be happen while selecting the things. Certain very important sample may not be selected. Many things can also be happening. Then another one is systematic random sampling. Systematic random sampling, also the same method, we do it, but this method is completely different. See, suppose if 1 to 50 people are there with this plan, we are planning to collect 20 samples out of it. So we will be toss it, first in the toss it, and we will get the number 3. Suppose if we get the number 3. So then it will be repeated with the next 3 only, then 6, 9, 12. So this is a systematically we will be the selection and be done. This stratified sampling also the same thing only. See, here differentiate we are also making into different strata like age, sex, class, education level. So then there we can be draw some kind of samples. So then with different strata, the sample will be drawn from the different strata. There are some kind of advantages of stratified sampling also and the disadvantages. Then the cluster sampling. Okay, so here again we will be making into different clusters. Okay, let's see. The cluster in the sense set some set of group. which we will be divided into separate clusters. We drawn from the different clusters. See, suppose if you say that when the one group is having some kind of a certain homogeneous characters, another group is having a homogeneous character. You cannot be mix both of the things. So that from the homogeneous group, some kind of a samples will be drawn, and another group will be drawn from another sample of you. Then mix up all those things, then we will conduct the research. That then we can call it as a clustered sampling. Here also cluster sampling also having a certain kind of advantage and disadvantages. But multi-stage sampling. In multi-stage, next is multi-stage sampling. Here many times we will use the multi-stage sampling. For example, if you take the example of education level of these girls, you take it. See, our universe is, suppose if you take the Karnataka is our universe. If you can also take the other states as well. But we are confined to Karnataka, then that is the first stage is Karnataka. Okay? Or 2-3 states you can also take it. First stage of selection of state is 1 or 2 states, either Karnataka or 2 states if you combine Karnataka and Kerala. And the next stage, if you in Karnataka, again some districts will be selected. Some districts in the sense again it is a second stage. Maybe North Karnataka region or South Karnataka. North Karnataka again 2-3 districts will be selected. South Karnataka 2-3 districts. The same fashion in Kerala as well. In the third stage again within that districts again some talukas. You choose 1 or 2 talukas. Again within that 2 talukas 1 or 2 villages. Within that villages, again you are confined with the, some kind of a social groups as well. So that this is a multi-stage sampling we call it as. Okay, the sample will be drawn from and within we name multiple stages out of it. So this is a multi-stage sampling. So then coming into the probability sampling, here this convenience sampling, purposive sampling, and quota sampling, snowball sampling. I already said that here certain kind of when we are not at all depending on the numbers. Okay, so then non-probability sampling method is very important here. So and also certain aspect we may not be knowing it. The total sample we may not be knowing, and what exactly the situation, how many of them are drug abusers are there, how many of them are HIV patients are there, how many of them are having a alcoholic. So when we are not at all sure about exact population of it, then non-probability sampling we use. Okay, there are again in non-probability sampling also certain different kind of sampling methods also there. In convenience sampling method, we can call it as accidental sampling. Accidental sampling in the sense when you are not at all fixed with any kind of a sample, any kind of a person to get the sample. So sometimes when you are accidentally meet him, accidentally we get some kind of a people having knowledge of it. So you will be collect the sample. So that is a kind of a you can call it as a convenient sample. And also, example, the research is engaged in a study of postgraduate students might visit the university canteen, library, department, etc. We may not be knowing that how many of them are visiting to the canteen and library. And sometimes we may not be meet some person who is going to the library or canteen. We can be asked them some question, some interview we can be conducted. So according to our convenience, we conduct it. That is also one kind of a non-probability sampling. Based on that, we can be come out with some kind of a result based on the information we gather. This purposive sampling also we can call it as a judgmental sampling. Okay. What I said earlier, like that, some problems that related to some people, for example, what I said, HIV patients, or cancer patients, or beggars, or any issues which are very specific to that, and we may not be combine other people together into that. Then we purposefully we go there and collect the data from that group, within that group only. So we call it as a purposive sampling. Here number may not be fixed into that. Okay, that is depending on the research we conducted, depending on the problem we are having, we are going to research. Based on that, the purposive sampling can be utilizing. So up to we satisfied with the information we are gathered, that is enough in the purposive sampling. Then again the quota sampling. The same way what I said, survey to the study incidence of HIV among women uses a sample of pregnant women visiting prenatal clinic, and this is regarded as the best indicator of infection among the adult population. There are also certain proportion of subject. So we make it into a quota, then we will go there and collect some information based on the problem of research. So snowball sampling. Another non-probability sampling method is global sampling. Here in the snowball sampling, ಈಗ ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ಇದನ್ನು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಬೀದಿ ಬದಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಬೀದಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೀದಿನಲ್ಲೇ ವಾಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ಸ್ ಸರ್. ಆ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ಸ್ ಈಗ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಗೋ ದೇರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲ್, ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರ ನಂಬರ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್ ದಿ ಸ್ನೋಬಾಲ್ ಮೆಥಡ್. ಸ್ನೋಬಾಲ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಹುಡುಗನ್ನ ಕೇಳಿ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬ ಎಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಅವನನ್ನೇ ಕೇಳೋದು, ಅವನ ಹತ್ರ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಕೇಳೋದು. ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸೇ ದಟ್ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬ ಒಂದು ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಆ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ದೆನ್ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಮೀಟ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಸ್ನೋಬಾಲ್. ಒಂದು ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲ್ ಇಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲ್ಗೆ ರೀಚ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಸ್ನೋಬಾಲ್. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಬ್ಸಿಕ್ವೆಂಟ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಟು ದೀಸ್ ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸಸ್. Then there are certain kind of advantages in non-probability sampling. Whenever the sampling is difficult to use, there is no alternative. It saves money and time. I already said that it saves money and time also, because our convenience, and also we will not be sure that this much of sample we need to be taking. But there is a challenge as well along with that. May not be get the exact information what you are looking from the field, and then there is a lot of effort also is required. But it saves time when you are very specific in your methodology. And it is useful in descriptive and exploratory type of research. I already said that in exploratory research and also descriptive research is very useful in non-probability samples. So there many things can be explored. You are the explorer, certain aspects when you are taking certain samples. So there are other limitations as well. Sometimes many of them are say that might be some kind of a bias. ನೀವು ಬೇಕಾದವ್ರನ್ನ ಹೋಗಿ ಭೇಟಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಡೇಟಾ ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ರಿ, ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರನ್ನ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಬಯಸ್. ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಮೇ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಡನ್. ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು 3-4 ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಸಿಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸೊ ಆ ಥರದ್ದು ಅದು ಮೇ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಟಿವ್ ಟು ದಿ ಹೋಲ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್. ನೀವು ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದು ಬರೀ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, micro studies may not be represent the whole population. Conclusion drawn from the research can be misguiding, especially while selecting sample by using convenience sample. Certain kind of misguiding there. Correct. Convenience, according to our convenience, and also when we go there and meet the people, nello hogtirtare accidental sampling ante. So may not be exact representative. And in this method, it is very difficult to state the level of reliability and accuracy and reliability. We cannot be very sure about accuracy. But that does not mean that ನಾವು research ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. When the situations are different, according to the situation, we need to make plan of it. So this is the summary. We learned certain other aspects of it. But one thing we need to understand before we finish up. Research is there is a research arena is a very big arena. So there we are tapping very small aspect. Okay. Now research world many things are this very big world. Only very small thing they are going to be touched upon. Very small thing on the research problems in the curriculum. Research problem only because research problem the research. We are taking up a single aspect. Okay. Dinanitya because problem over any other one the education problem of education. Okay, gross enrollment ratio less. ಅಥವಾ social group ಮೇಲೆ ಏನೋ ದೌರ್ಜನ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಥವಾ ಡ್ರಗ್ ಅಬ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಆಲ್ಕೋಹಾಲಿ ಅಥವಾ HIV patients, anything very small aspects in the research and again within that ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. So that means what ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ಗೆ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಲಿಮಿಟೆಡ್. ಡೋಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ದಟ್ ನಾವು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ದ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಹೋಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನೆವರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಅಗೇನ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಸರ್ಚಿಂಗ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಡನ್ ಇಟ್. ಯಾರೋ ಮಾಡಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಇಟ್. ನೀವೇ ಮಾಡೋದಿರೋದ್ರೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕವರಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿಬೇಕು. ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿಬೇಕು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್. ಅಗೇನ್ somebody done some knowledge already there. We are trying to find some kind of a based on the some methods we are using, find the solution for that particular problem. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಮಗೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಗೇನ್ ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ರಿವ್ಯೂ ಆಫ್ ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ರು ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಥವಾ ಶೆಡ್ಯೂಲ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ರೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದಿ par with the other girls of the community. These are all, I am not at all specifically mentioning that. These are all the problems of research problems. So there we will be finding out, somebody would have been said that, so there will not be any kind of aspiration of the students. That might be one of the reasons would have been connected. And rural girls are having less motivation comparing with the urban areas. And social problem like family environment and also their economic background. Many aspects will be coming into that when we are talking about any kind of research. So there you have to find out your research gap. ಇದನ್ನು ಇನ್ಯಾವುದನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಅವರು ಈಗ ಇವ್ರು ಯಾರೋ ಒಂದು ಇದನ್ನು ಕಂಡಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಏನು ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಹಿಂದುಳಿಯೋಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು ಹಿಂದುಳಿಯೋಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಅವರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಶಿ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ. Another person would have might be identified as another problem. Financial problem is one of the problem to reaching into the highest education. So many people will also find out different problems. Then you have to find out that where is the gap it is. Oh, then you literature you ಮಾಡೋದು then you identify. Oh, ಇದನ್ನ ಕಂಡಿಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಇದನ್ನ ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರು. This they are not at all concentrating on those things. That's what my research gap is this. That research gap is this. This I need to be tap onto that. That's the gap you need to be identified before you move on to the next stage. So when the literature review give the one picture of the research problem and you identify some kind of a gap within that research problem. Then you have to draw certain kind of a very specific objective of that. ಅದನ್ನು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ನ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ವೆರಿ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ need to be not into very broad objective. ಆ ಒಂದು ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಆ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಉದ್ದೇಶನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಈ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಗೇನ್ ಹೈಪೋಥೆಸಿಸ್ then we do design of the research. And the design of the research again, sampling and design when you are talking about that, you should be very ಅದನ್ನ ನಂಬುವಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು ನಿಮ್ಮ methodology. You just can't say that ಜನರಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನೋ ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಇರೋದು. ಸೊ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ರಿಲಯಬಲ್ ಆಸ್ ವೆಲ್ ಆಸ್ ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಟೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ಗೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಎನಫ್ ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಮೆನಿ ಅದರ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆ ಬೇಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾವ ಮೆಥಡ್ ಬಳಸ್ಬೇಕು, ವೆದರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಪ್ರಾಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಸ್ಯಾಂಪ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ತೊಗೋಬೇಕಾ, ನಾನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಸ್ಯಾಂಪ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ತೊಗೋಬೇಕಾ, ಅಥವಾ ಸರ್ವೆ ಮೆಥಡ ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ನೂ ಬೇರೆ ಮೆಥಡ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಬಳಸಬೇಕಾ, ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟಿವ್. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ದೋಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ when your literature will always help us. What other people done it, ಬೇರೆಯವರು ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ವೇಳೆ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ ರಿವ್ಯೂ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ ರಿವ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಗೇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಎ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್. ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ? ಈಗ ಒಂದು 5 ವರ್ಷದ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾ, ಒಂದು 10 ವರ್ಷದ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾ, ಅಥವಾ ಭಾಳ 5 ವರ್ಷದ ತಗೋಬೇಕಾ, ಅಥವಾ ಹಳೇದೇ ಸಾಕು ಅವಸ್ಥೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಸಿಗ್ತದೆ ಅಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ರಿವ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅವೈಲಬಲ್ ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಅವೈಲಬಲ್ ಅಂತ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಲಿಮಿಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವೈಲಬಲ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಮೆಜರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅವೈಲಬಲ್ ಇರೋದು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಮೋರ್ ಅವೈಲಬಲ್ ಇರೋದು. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಿಗ್ತದೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಪ್ ಟು ಡೇಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ ರಿವ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಕೆಲವರೆಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ಮುಂದೆ PhD ಹೋಗೋದು ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಿದ್ರೆ ಇದೇ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ನ ಅಗೇನ್ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಬಿ ನೋ ದಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಏರಿಯಾ. ಆ ಏರಿಯಾದೊಳಗೆ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ ಅಗೇನ್ ಅದೇ ಲೈನಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಗೆ ಏನೇನು ಹೊಸ ಥರ ಐಡಿಯಾಗಳು, ನಾಲೆಜು ಅಥವಾ ಮೆಥಡಾಲಜೀಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಸೊ ಒಟ್ಟಾರೆ ಈ ನಾವು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾನ್ಗಳು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೆಥಡಾಲಜಿನ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ಗೆ ಡಾಟಾ ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಡಾಟಾನ ಅನಾಲಿಸಿಸ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಗೇನ್ ಅದರ ಇಂಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್ ನಮಗೆ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಥಿಯರೀಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಸೈನ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಅಗೇನ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರವರ್ಷಿ ದಟ್ ವೆದರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆದರ್ ದ ಥಿಯರೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್. ಈಗ ನ್ಯೂಟನ್ಸ್ ಲಾ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಲಾ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟುಲೇಟ್ಸ್ ಸೈಂಟಿಫಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್. ಲಾ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟುಲೇಟ್ಸ್ಗಳೇನು ವೇರೆವರ್ ಯು ಗೋ ಇನ್ ದ ಹೋಲ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಅದು ಕಾಮನ್ಲಿ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕಬಲ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಇನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂಥರ ಗ್ರಾವಿಟೇಷನ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಅಥವಾ ಬಾಲ್ ಎಸ್ರೆ ಕೆಳಗೆ ಬೀಳ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕಾಮನ್ ಎವ್ರಿವೇರ್ ಆಯಿತಾ. ಬಟ್ ಈ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಸೇ ವೆರಿ ಅದೇ ಸೇಮ್ ಮ್ಯಾನರ್ ಅದೇ ಥರ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಲಾಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ನ್ಯೂಟನ್ಸ್ ಲಾ ಅಂತ ಥಿಯರಿ. ಅಗೇನ್ ಥಿಯರಿ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ವಿ controversial what I said. That term was again we will be bring it back into hypothesis, predictions. ಅಷ್ಟಿಗೆ ಫಿಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಇದನ್ನೇ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಬಟ್ ಇಂಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ಸ್ ಡಿಟೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಚಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಅಗೇನ್ ಅವರ್ ಜಾಬ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆದರ್ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಥಿಯರಿ ಇದೆ, ವೆದರ್ ಅವರ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ವಿಲ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಬಿ ಫಾಲೋ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಯರಿ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಮೂಲಕ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಮೆಥಡಾಲಜೀಸ್ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಮೂಲಕ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಡಾಟಾ ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್. ಸೊ ಅದು ಉಲ್ಟಾ ವಿ ಮೇಕ್ ಎ ಸಮ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ observation, some kind of a data collection, some analysis, and bring some kind of new theories or addition to that particular. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಜಾಬ್ ಇರೋದು ರಿಸರ್ಚರ್. ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಥಿಯರಿನ ಇದೆಯೋ ಇಲ್ವೋ ಅಂತ ಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಥಿಯರಿ ಥರನೇ ನಿಮ್ಮ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಮು ಅಥವಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ ರಿಸರ್ಚಿಗೆ ಅಂತ ಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಹೊಸ ಥಿಯರಿಗೆ ಅಡಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಇನ್ನೇನು ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್. ನಾವು ಮಾಡೋಷ್ಟು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸಮ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಸೆಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. We need to prove that whether that is reaching into the same line of it or some other different roads also they can be drawn stage. So ಹಾಗಾಗಿ is very in this stage I feel that in this stage because you are going to the masters and also you are going to the field and collect the data and bring it up to some kind of data and also table across. And as Madam said that it will be reaching into the papers, articles. So for that, certain specific methodologies for each and every one research problem. We'll have a discussion in a separate aspect. So then bring out of ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಮೆಥಡಾಲಜಿ ಮತ್ತು ಇದನ್ನು ಡಾಟಾ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮತ್ತು ಪೇಪರ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ದಟ್ ಅನದರ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವರ್ಕ್ಶಾಪಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆನ್ ಬಿ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಹೌ ಟು ರೈಟ್ ಎ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ಯುವರ್ ನೀವು ಡಾಟಾ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಸೊ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ದಟ್ ಸೊ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಅದನ್ನು ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ ಬರೆಯುವಾಗ ಅದನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ದಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಯಾವ ಥರದ ಡಾಟಾ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. And also question in the include schedule. That is also most important thing. When the statistics ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಆನ್ಸರ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೇನಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಅದು ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಅನಾಲಿಸಿಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೋ ಅಥವಾ ಡಾಟಾ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೋ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ದೆನ್ ಆ ಡಾಟಾ ಯುಟಿಲೈಸ್ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ದೆನ್ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಡೂ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತು ಮೆಥಡಾಲಜಿ ಕೂಡ ನಮಗೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಫಿಟ್ ಒಂದು ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಬೇಕು. ಗುಡ್ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಔಟ್ ಆ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮೇಕ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ವಿತ್ ಆಲ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್. ಸೊ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೋ ಮಚ್.
Thank you very much, sir. You related on research design and sampling and all the methods in social science research methodology. So now we have time for working lunch. So after working lunch we will come back here. Before that we have some announcements. First one, who has not signed here, please sign.